Hello everyone, welcome back to the next lecture on database management system. So today we are going to discuss the disadvantages of the file system and the advantages of the database management system. So before we start with the comparison, let us now discuss that what we were using when database management system was not into the existence. So the answer to this question is the file system. File system is nothing but the way we manage our data on our local systems, on our PCs. Like we create a file, we just store some data in it, and then we again access it and retrieve the data whenever we need. So file system works only in the same way. So it was very difficult to deal with the file system when the data used to be very large. And the second problem was the user was saving the data in the file system, and user was the only one who was accessing the data in the file system. But when we required the client server architecture, where we used to store our data at one place and we need to access it from the multiple places or through to the multiple user, this data needs to be available, then file system was not able to cope up with this requirement. And then there comes the concept of the database management system, where we used to manage our data in a client server architecture, where data is available at one system but it is available to the many other system or the clients also. So now let's discuss the drawbacks of the file system. So the first drawback of the file system is data redundancy and inconsistency. It is nothing but the repetition of the data. Like in file system, suppose I am storing data of a student with particular enrollment and the name. So I can store the same data multiple times. There is no restriction in the file system that once if the data is stored for one particular student, I cannot repeat it. So that is what the data redundancy is. File system was not able to restrict the users to store the same data multiple times. Next one is difficulty in accessing the data. So we were not able actually to access the data efficiently in the file system. It used to took a lot of time while accessing any particular record. Next one is data isolation. Let's suppose that I need to access the data which is stored in multiple files. Let's suppose I want to have the personal details and the grades of the student along simultaneously at one time, but they are storing in two separate files, one where the personal details of the student are stored, and second where academic record of the student stored. So it is not possible for me in a file system to write a procedure or a program to access that data at a one time, because these files will have different formats, different columns. So it was not possible in the file system. But by using the concept of joins in the database management system, it is not now possible that we can have the data from two multiple tables or files at one time. Next problem is the integrity problem. That is, the data should be consistent and there should be some constraints, or we can say the database must satisfy some rules. Like for example, we can say that if we are asking user for his or her phone number, then it should be in the digits only and it should be of length 10. There should not be 9 digits or there should not be 11, because the phone numbers are exactly of the 10 length. So 10 digit length. So here in the file system, we were not able to restrict the user to have particular length or to have particular type of data. Like we are not expecting any alphabetical input in that particular column, but file system was not able to restrict the user to entering any invalid data. So the integrity problem was there. Then there is atomicity. Atomicity says that if we are executing any particular program, or we are storing any particular record in the database, then it should either be completely stored or it should not be stored at all. Like there should not be a case where partial data is stored and the other half data is not stored. So atomicity says that value should either be completely committed or rolled back. Like either the work is 100% done or it should not be done at all. Next is concurrent access anomalies. So concurrent access anomalies is the multiple access or parallel access of the data from multiple users. Like if we consider the database management system of the railways, so there are thousands of people accessing the same data at the same time. So it should be available to all, and the data should be available, same data should be available to all the users. But in the file systems, we were not able to provide such facilities to the users. Second last point is the security problem, that we were not able to secure the data in the file system. They were not very much reliable. Now let us see the difference between database management system and file system in a tabular form. Here we have just discussed the drawbacks of the file system. Now we will discuss the comparison of database management system and file system. So whenever you are being asked a question in the university exam where you are supposed to write the answer in subjective form, so you should write your answer in such a way, in a tabular form only. So let's now discuss all the points one by one. The first one is DBMS is a collection of data. In DBMS, the user is not required to write the procedures. So in the DBMS, everything is built in. We just need to execute the task which we required. We are not supposed to write the procedures or the programs in the database management system, but in file system, we need to write the procedures for each and every task we perform. The next one is database management system gives an abstract view of data that hides the details, but it was not possible in the file system. So basically this point is saying that abstraction is available in the database management system, where we can just show the relevant or a part of a record to the user and we can hide the rest of the details. But in file system, we were not having any such concept. By using views in the database management system, actually we can just achieve this thing. The third point says that database management system provides a crash recovery mechanism, that is DBMS protects the user from the system failure. But the file system does not have a crash mechanism. We can recover our data in the database management system, but in the file system, once the data or the file is deleted, it is deleted. We cannot recover it back. The fourth point says that DBMS provides a good protection mechanism. As we have just now before some time we have discussed that the file system was not able to provide the security to our data, but DBMS provides good protection and the security to our data. The second last point says that DBMS contains a wide variety of sophisticated technique to store and retrieve the data. As it was hard in the file system to store and retrieve the data, now in the database management system, we can efficiently store our data and retrieve it back also. The last point says that DBMS takes care of concurrent access of data using some form of locking, but in the file system, concurrent access has many problems like redirecting the file while other deleting some. So this point says that when we are offering the multiple access or the concurrent access of the data in the DBMS, we have some locking protocols which we are going to discuss in the last unit of this course of database management system. So we used to lock our data so that if the user are accessing the data like simultaneously, and they are trying to make changes to the data at the same time, so there we need some types of constraints and some type of locking, so that our data remains integrated or the consistent. But in the file system, if at some sort of level we were able to provide concurrent access or concurrent mechanism, but we were not able to save the integrity of the data at all. So these are the some points for the comparison of database management system and file system, where we have discussed the advantages of the database management system and disadvantages of the file system. So thank you everyone for watching this video, and if you have any queries, feel free to reach us on the comment section. And if you want to have all these study material, you can just access the website www.nargeshgupta.com. All the previous year question papers of the GATE and UGC NET and other computer science related examinations are available there. See you in the next lecture. Thank you everyone.